Hello, everyone. I am Allie.
And I'm Ashley.
And you're listening to Uncensored with Allie and Ashley. Today we have an amazing podcast for you. Something that Ashley and I were thinking about, and
it was the Ashley's fault.
And we just wanted to talk about it because that's what we do on here. We talk about topics that we love talking about.
And topics that need to be talked about.
Yeah.
So today, everybody, we're going to be talking about being dumped after the first date. I don't know if Allie was okay with this title, but I came up with it.
I think in like relationships and dating, it can be really hard and really intimidating. And I think a lot of times people put a lot of pressure on the first date. And I would love to know from a guy's perspective if they think like after the first date, if I don't hit it off with this girl, or like do they judge it off the first date?
That is so true. And honestly, that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up today, was because it's happened to all of us, ladies and gentlemen, even men too. Men, after the first date, there's been this rule that you're not supposed to text the person for 3 days. Now, number one, where did that come? How did that even begin?
Well, in the 21st century, the genders have not played a role. So
right.
Actually, a woman could write to the man on the first date if they really wanted to.
If they're very forward. So I'm saying men or women. But the thing is, everybody, I have some stories I got to talk about. And
at least they text it all if they text after 3 days. I remember on the first date, one of the first dates I went on, the guy I went out with didn't text me after 3 days, and I really thought he didn't like me.
That's how I felt.
But I ended up being in a relationship for like a whole year, so.
Don't text after the first date. You went on this great date. You had a great time. You went to the movies. You went out to dinner. You fucking shared a lustrous, completely amazing kiss. This was like you made out on top of the roof of your car. And the next day, you don't hear fucking shit from the person. What does that mean?
I honestly don't know, and that's what I would love to know from like a guy's point of view, if they like judge things off the first date. Because to me, I've talked to people and not talked to them after the first date.
Yeah, Allie's more like, Ash, if you don't like the fucking person, just whatever. It's like you want to make sure you like the person. Like, it's okay. You don't have to feel like you have to talk to every single person.
I didn't want to give people false hope. So like, if like I didn't like them, I would just not pursue them anymore.
And that's
like
so,
I'm so mean.
No, honestly, you're a person, I feel like, who knows what you want. And I used to always tell you, Allie, you need to put your heart into it. My heart is into it. Bitch, my fucking heart has been like, I definitely had a wall up in my past.
Yeah.
And you, I felt like, were more open. You knew what you wanted. If it wasn't this person, bye-bye. I don't care. Whatever. End of story. And me, I'm like, well, maybe it will be better after the next date. Oh, maybe it'll be better after I date the person for 8 months. No, it's not. It wasn't. And that's over. So I'm wondering, ladies and gentlemen, now, I'm going to talk about the date that I went on a long time ago. This guy, I went out with him. It was great. We had a great time. But my thing is, he didn't talk to me the next day. And then the next day, he didn't talk to me. And then the next day, he didn't talk to me. But then all of a sudden, he talked to me. What does that mean? Like, from your perspective, Allie, what does it mean?
They are giving you time to absorb how amazing of a time you guys had.
Okay. So if there's this generic rule as to why men can't talk to the women, like, ladies and gentlemen, Allie said it, we're in the 21st century. If you had a great time with your date, call her that night. Call her the next day.
But you could call them too, because it's the 21st century.
I understand it's the 21st century, and I have. That's the thing. I will write to that person. But then I feel like I'm bothering them.
I know.
So I
always feel like I used to always feel like I would bother people. Like, that's like my biggest thing, like, especially like back like when I was younger and stuff. Like, I feel like after you went out with that one guy who like always made me feel like I was kind of like a bother.
You were never a bother.
I know, but he made me feel that way. I always felt that way, and like future relationships too. Like, I was always like a bother, and like maybe that's how guys feel when they text us too. Like, guys like when they would text us too, they might feel like a bother.
Yeah, I think it's either a bother, I feel like, or I feel like they get intimidated, and it makes me feel really sad, because I feel like then everybody, you question yourself, and you're like, oh my god, I must have done something. Like, in the date, they had a great time. So I'm even going to talk about another person who I went out with. They had a great time. You could tell that they had a great time. And then all of a sudden, when they're not talking to you afterwards the same, you're like, what did I do wrong? Was it the way I kissed them? Was it the color of my hair? Was it my body? Was my body too like, oh my God, was it different than they thought? Was it skinny? Are my boobs too small? Are my boobs too big? Am I too fat? Am I too skinny? What is it? And then we constantly pick ourselves apart.
Overanalyzing. And I know like a lot of people come on like to our streams and talk about things like that too. Like, oh, I went on a first date and like, what's going to happen now? And it's like, we're constantly in a world where we're going to be thinking of other people judging us. I mean, like we've probably always been that way, but especially now, how people can easily stalk you if you have Instagram or a Facebook or a YouTube channel or whatever,
or our live stream.
Yeah, so like it's easy for people to look at you, and that's why before, when I used to date, I wouldn't give out my Instagram. Like people would be like, "Oh, do you have an Instagram?" And I'd be like, "No," because like we did YouTube, and like I didn't want anyone. We didn't want anyone to like
look at us and judge us. I did not even remember. I forgot about that.
Do you remember that? Because it's definitely, and that's like the thing. It's like nowadays you want someone just to get to know you. Yeah. Just even if they know your Instagram or know all that, you still want people to take the time to get to know you, because you're deep. You know, we have deep souls, and everyone has a story. So it's not just always posted on Instagram or on YouTube or whatever. Because so that's why. Then after a first date, someone could like judge you.
I know.
off your Instagram.
That's what I'm saying. So like you go on your first date, let's just say they get your number, and then you don't give them your Instagram and you go out with their first date. Okay, then you kind of exchange maybe your Snapchat, and then you exchange your Instagram, and that's when things get tricky. Either they're gonna like judge you off of like your Instagram and be like, hey, like Allie said, she looks like she's a certain way, blah blah blah, yada yada. It gets to be very tricky nowadays. Back in Lola wants to sit with us. Back in the day, sometimes I wish it was like back to, back in the day when we didn't have Instagrams and stuff like that, and people literally just called you.
But even back then, like remember back when you didn't? Well, no, because we always dated when we had Instagrams.
No.
I know. So I was gonna say, and that guy literally ghosted you completely and got married.
All right, let's talk about it. Okay. There's this guys from high school, and this was before Instagram, right? Before Instagram. He went out on some dates with me, said, I really see myself with you. I really see myself marrying you. I really want to take you to the prom. This was before Instagram. And then all of a sudden stopped, like full on, met his family, full on stopped talking to me without an explanation. Full on.
What does that mean to you?
What does that mean? Okay, so number one, he's completely interested. He's overly interested, talking about so many different things from the future. And then all of a sudden just stops talking to me for 2 weeks. Then posts on his fucking Instagram. Was it after that? Not Instagram, Facebook. On his Facebook that he was in a relationship with another woman. So there's no Instagram involved.
So it's really not. I mean, like, I think what happens is in any relationship or anything, someone might just feel it out, and they might just feel like it's not for them, or they might get scared and be like, it is for them, and get scared, because I feel like in some situations that's had happened with me. Whereas this one guy I was going out with a long time ago, he got kind of scared, and I had to be like, well, like, what's wrong?
Exactly.
So like you kind of have to, that's when a lot of conversation just gets involved, and if someone's willing to talk with you about their feelings, that's when you can kind of figure it out. But it stinks when someone's not willing to conversate with you, so you're just left guessing if it's your boobs, or if it's your butt, or if it's you didn't do something right, or you didn't say something right. Like I used to hate going on a first date and like afterwards being like, oh, well, that person's not going to talk to me tomorrow.
I know, and I hate that feeling too.
Like that
oh
person's,
my gosh.
Like sometimes I went like back before, like I would go on dates knowing that they wouldn't talk to me the next day. Like I'd be like, this guy's never gonna talk to me again. Like
I hate that there's that stipulation. Is that the right word? And I would feel like Allie would literally tell me, she'd be like, Ashley's probably not gonna talk to you tomorrow. And what does he do? Like I think it's different for Allie and I, because we have been in a town where I feel like people are not like us, like with the social media aspect. So any of the guys who we have went out with are maybe intimidated.
It's like when you talk so much before the date, and then like after the date, you guys just don't talk anymore.
Oh my
God. Like this has happened to me before, like a long time ago, and it's just like what the fuck?
Like, obviously you had a great conversation. All of a sudden, now that we went on a date, either you're scared, it was too much for you. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Us women, number one, we don't have time to wait. So if I went on a
we don't also have time to waste.
Wait or waste.
So, like, obviously they're just doing you a favor by not talking to you anymore.
Yeah, but then it leaves you guessing. If, guys, ladies, gentlemen, whoever you are, if you had a great time, tell the person you had a great time. Say, hey, it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Then you kind of wonder if it's your personality, because then they kind of get to know yourself as a personality. Number one, so they look at you on your Instagram, but then they actually get to know you. And then you start to judge yourself. You're like, oh my God, did I talk too much? Did this, did that, did this on the date? And I believe that, number one, you should just go and be authentic at your date. And that's why I'm saying dumped after the first date, because when someone doesn't talk to you after the first date, it's like, okay.
Some people I literally didn't want for them to talk to me after the first date, though.
Oh my God. I think I've given people way too many
I thought the
chances.
date was like shit, and like I did not want them to talk to me. So I was happy,
but
when
it's
they
like
didn't
you
text
spent.
me.
See, oh my God, I'm a person
Like that has happened multiple times.
I know, and you're so okay with that. And I'm like, we shared a great conversation, and even if I didn't feel it, it's still nice to talk about the date. Cool. We can even talk about the date and be like, hey, that was really fun. I really enjoyed that movie, or blah, 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 blah. But like, okay, bye. Like, what?
Yeah.
So when is the proper time to text somebody? Should you call them on the phone? And I feel like a lot of people, it's weird. I thought a lot of people call on the phone, but I feel like people nowadays don't really talk on the phone anymore. I like talking on the phone.
I like talking on the phone.
I feel like it's more of a connection, which is weird because years ago I did not. I thought texting was the move. But if you want to get to know somebody, I think calling is kind of like more intimate. And I think that it really helps.
I love how I'm like thinking about like a lot of first dates, and it's so funny because like I think back to like how like I felt sad, but then also in some circumstances I felt happy because I felt like the conversation used to be like forced before the date. And I thought that was just because it was awkward because we didn't go on a date yet. But you know what I mean?
Right. I guess I'm such a hopeless romantic. Every single time when I would like talk to somebody, I have a lot of hope. Even if the conversation wasn't going my way. My thing that I don't like is, like you said, like forced conversation. Yeah. But I always was like, oh, well, maybe I have so many maybes in my head. Yeah. So I think that if you kind of get out of that and the maybes, because then you have the maybes after the date. So like
you have the maybes before the date and the maybes after the date. All in all, fucking dating is fucking so hard. And you know what? You literally have to be like a super strong person to put yourself out there.
Exactly.
And that's why probably a lot of people end up not being in relationships and being single. But you know what? It's also nice to be loved. And I love being loved. You love being loved. So it's also like that's what the risk is. And that's what you're willing to do for a relationship. That's all those maybes and all those questions is what you're willing to do to be loved. And at the end of the day, that's what us humans desire.
We really do, is desire love. And I think, that's such a beautiful statement. It's so true. And that's how you find, I believe that multiple people, I do believe in the one. Do you believe in the one?
Yeah.
I think that there is a one, and I've talked to a lot of people. Some people don't believe in soulmates, and some people believe you have multiple soulmates, and you can have friendship soulmates, you can have love interest soulmates, but I still believe that there is the one. So all of those maybes and dates, I believe, lead you to your one, because they all make you who you are today. And that is what leads you up to it. I just think if I didn't date that one guy who I went out with in high school, and you didn't go out with his brother, and then I wouldn't have ever met his roommate, and I wouldn't have ever gone out with him. Like, just think all those maybes that I was thinking with that other guy that ended up making lead to his brother, and then making me go out with the other guy. So like, you never know. Exactly. And that's why all those maybes add up to sometimes. Right. And if you didn't go out,
even though we ended up breaking up, so obviously it's okay. But all those maybes add up sometimes to something good, and sometimes they add up to something bad.
Exactly. And it's you sit here and you definitely wonder about life, and you kind of wonder where life's going to take you and all that.
We're getting deep.
So why? Dumped after the first date.
It's like you constantly try. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And anything that you do, you want to constantly try, and that's like the thing is like you constantly just want to. You just want people to like you, and it's hard when people might give off the vibe that they don't like you. So I think that's definitely the hardest thing.
Exactly. And I think a lot of us humans, we really are so hard on ourselves. We pick ourselves apart, and you get that confidence. Like me, I had such confidence, and then I ended up going out on a date with this guy. Then we ended up going out in a relationship, and I feel like all that confidence got lost because of the way that he was and all that yada yada yada. So it's definitely like you take different risks, but then you get single again and then you build that confidence back up, and that's just the beauty of life. So if any of you guys are girls, whoever's listening and that's happened to you, just know it's all part of your journey.
Everyone goes through it.
Everyone does.
And also be considerate of somebody else's feelings. Like if you actually had a nice time, don't follow that 3-day rule. Like if you actually enjoyed it, like think about other people's feelings, you know, and like it's everyone goes through what you might be feeling. Like we have it, and everyone feels like that feeling of like, well, do they not like me? Like what's going on? Like I don't want them not to like me, but I really liked them. Do they like me? Yada yada yada. Like everyone has that.
Right. And I think people get scared of their own emotions as well. And I know it's happened to me previous relationships that I've been in. The guy definitely does, and he'll tell me too, and he's like, you know, I've never felt this way before, and I don't know what to do with my feelings, and I don't know. And if you're feeling it, life is so short. Just truly feel every single emotion that you can. I told that to Allie, and it's funny.
I'm like, I don't want to because I went through like really bad heartbreak like a long time ago, and like I didn't want to open back up my heart, and that's just like, well, just let yourself love, and I'm just like, okay, fine.
And I think I need to take her advice, you know, because I think I'm the person who I think that I'm open, and I'm like, I guess I get the same way as everybody else. You get that feeling, but as you grow, you learn to open your heart back up, and that's a nice ASMR sound. Ellie's totally swallowing water right now. I think basically what I'm trying to say is don't be scared to open yourself back up, and if somebody doesn't like you, and obviously because it's going to happen, they're not going to text you, and as Sex in the City, Miranda, she literally said, they're just not that into you. Do you remember that? And they were like on the steps, and she was overhearing these two girls like, oh my God, well, maybe he's not talking to me because he had to take care of his dog, or maybe he's not talking to me because blah, 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 blah. And she's like, no, I'm going to save you time, sweetie. He's just not that into you.
Yeah.
So either that or open up.
I think the moral of the story is just to, whether you're going on a first date, a second date, or like any date, I think is just to stay true to yourself. And if someone doesn't accept you for that, then fuck them, you know? And I think that's how I live my life, you know? Because you can't just sit there and think about maybe this, maybe that. Maybe you should just be your fucking self.
Exactly. Instead of going out on these dates, and after you have so much confidence, number 1, don't be scared to go on the date. Number 2, be yourself. Number 3, instead of having no confidence after the date because you're overthinking yourself, think, you know what? As Allie said, if they don't like me, F them. And there will be somebody out there. There is somebody out there that is your person, and that's going to love every single thing about you. So just giving you guys that beautiful confidence to go out there and to feel your best self, to be your best self, to be your true self, and don't hide it. And don't hide your feelings either.
This is what we tell ourselves.
This is what we try to tell ourselves. A really cool thing I like is when a guy compliments your nails. And today I have these really pretty nails on. They're my real nails. They're just like this white pink. And Allie has the coolest color ever. I have to show you guys. Sister, show your nails. They're this green, like metallic. And I don't think it's like, people like, I think it's really nice when a guy compliments you on little things. So anywho.
You are deserved to be loved, even if you're still learning to love yourself.
Oh,
I think like everyone deserves love. And like there's like 8 billion people on this earth, and us humans are naive to think that we can't find true love, and that one day is going to ruin us and we're never going to be able to find love. But don't let that one date ruin us. You know, don't let that one maybe he didn't like me ruin you and not have potential for other people, because there's somebody out there. And I think that's our biggest thing, is just thinking there's because that one person didn't like us, nobody's going to like us. But that's not true. There's going to be that one person that just loves your specialness, you know? They're going to love that weird thing that you do, and they're going to think it's so cute and just so attractive and just so fun. So I think that's
cute,
like
the way you eat your Pringles.
Exactly.
You know, it's so cute.
So that's why that's why that guy didn't talk to you on the first date, because he's saving you for, you're saving yourself for someone better, you know?
Yes,
maybe we came up with the answer.
Maybe we came up with the answer. The universe is saving you for your one. So go out there, ladies and gentlemen, and be your fucking best self and get your fucking one.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's podcast.
I love you guys so much.
Or watching. Remember, you guys, we still have that YouTube version. So if you're just listening, we still have the YouTube version. So if you guys want to go watch, go to Uncensored with Allie and Ashley on YouTube, and you can watch it. So you guys get to see all our cool facial expressions.
I know.
It's going to be amazing, you guys.
It's going to be so amazing.
Don't miss out. Subscribe, hit the bell so you guys don't miss next ones.
Hit the bell. And this podcast is available on every single platform. You guys are listening to
Uncensored with Allie and Ashley.
And we'll see you in the next one. Or you'll listen to us in the next one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Do we say bye? Love you.
Do we say bye? I love you.